it will forget. So it will now week, right? So anyone remember that?
ORMs
ORM. Then
relational database.
so how the entire database things was working. So that was we go through. Okay. So that is mainly for the RDS. So what is mean by that? What is mean by RDS? Relational database. Okay. So there is some other databases also there. So it's a common term we can tell as SQL and NoSQL databases. Okay. There is some difference. Okay. Based on the use case only have to choose the database. But most of the time the primary database is going to the relational database. Okay. Right? Because there we have the more control in that. And the document database is more or less like that is full of dynamic things. Like one field will contain the name and the student address, another field, another students won't have the address. So it could be like that. Some optional field will be like that only. So we'll see that what is the document database, what are the purpose, everything will go through it. So before that, we mainly go through it and what are the things? REST APIs, right? In the API side. So apart from few other things also there, like if you created the one application, in that application you want to build live notifications. That means a real-time notification. How we can do that? So any ideas? What are the possibilities? Another ways actually. So if anyone checked your like once you completed the React application, so first API will be called for the WebSocket only for the connection. Anyone check? So check actually. So once you are run your front end application, right? After that you are going to check in the same port in the your browser. So that time you check first connection going to be the WebSocket connection. Okay. So what is the WebSocket? What is reactive programming? WebFlux? Better. Those things will go through it. But first of all, we want to get the clear idea what is purpose of the WebSocket. Why I have to use it. Okay. There is a plenty of purpose, but let's start from the like. Until now, we only know the REST APIs. That means it just transfer the state. So we are API. That's it. Maybe it could be the XML response or else JSON response. These are the two response only we know, right? So here one thing is called as a WebSocket. So like your application has some chat system. Like it have the two members can able to talk to each other. Like if you are building any what other platforms, if you are building any chat platforms, you have to tell if you are while you are typing the receiver side it's mentioned as you are typing something, right? Take example as a WhatsApp. That kind of message system you want to build in your application, like so each guys can communicate with that. Okay, like a trainer and student, they can able to talk. So I want to get a clear idea about this. Like that is there is a two kind of communication. One is the mail. Okay, so what is the mail communication? That also will be real time only, but you have to do the refresh and those things. Then it will become right. But here it should be live. Once one thread was connected, you can send anything from both sides. You can send and receive, send and receive. Okay, it should be like that. So anyone push in that WebSocket, he can able to receive in that. So that means one side he is sending some messages, I can able to receive. This side also they want to send the message, I can able to receive that. Okay, so that is the purpose of the WebSocket actually. So we'll see that what is the WebSocket, then you guys will get some idea. Full duplex means what is full duplex? Half duplex. Do you have any idea what is half duplex? Full duplex. Directional connection, bidirectional connection. What is mean by? Unidirectional.
Communication happens in one way.
Communication happen in only one way. What it is called? Half duplex. Then full duplex in the sense? That data will flow, a request will flow, a response will flow both sides. So client side to server side, maybe I can push something, so it will show to some other users. Okay, how it is going to be? You are sending some message to me. I have to, how my application going to be? My application is a bridge now, right? My application receive the request. You are the client. You are the client. I am the receiver, right? So my server will receive your message. It will send to me. Okay. So it's a both directional. So that's why it's called as a full duplex communication protocol. So these are the protocols. So TCP and HTTP, you guys know, right? What is the difference between the TCP and HTTP? What is TCP? Sorry? Transfer? Transition? Okay, fine. Then what is HTTP? Hypertext?
Transfer protocol.
Okay. So how it differs? Just see that graph.
TCP will check the message. If we send the message, it will make sure that the data transfer should be correct and accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. But HTTP will not give that assurance that what we send the data is accurate.
Okay. Any other ideas?
TCP will check are we sending the exact data from one side to another.
Okay, so forget about the data relation. Apart from that, if you want to send the data, what is the first thing you need? If you want to communicate with the database, what is the first thing you have to do? Connection. So that is important. I have to establish the connection. So here, the major difference between the TCP and HTTP between the connection. If you are sending the each request, what HTTP will do? It will create the new connection. It won't stay in the old connection. Okay. So every time if you are hitting any API, it's going to the new connection only. Then it will send to the server. But WebSocket it won't be like that. Okay. How it will be? It will create the only one connection. That means once it's connected, then what is that? Once it was connected, we can able to send anything in that. How like a WhatsApp chat system was working. You just opened, right? The receiver side opened or not, they will got notified. But their connection should be only one connection. You can able to communicate with that connection. Okay. So that is the major thing. Okay. So that's a diagram actually mentioning. So if you want to see that major difference between this, actually start from the new connection only. So it's keep in your mind. So HTTP will create a new connection each request. This is a persistent connection. That means once it's connected, until unless its connection closed, it won't create the new connection. The communication, everything happen in the single connection only. Okay. Client to server only one direction. Okay. Bi-directional, client to server, server to client also possible. Okay. Next is somehow overhead, headers send with every request, and snake once, then minimal overhead. Okay. So here anyone got any idea what is that exact mean? What is the HTTP and website? So first two things we discussed, right? Rest of the two things we did not yet discuss. What is that? Headers send with every request, then handshake once, then minimal overhead. What is the meaning? So now forget about the development and code writing in Java, everything you forget. Come to the some real world things. Once you completed those developer kind of thing, these are the things you have to just aware of it, how I am going to use them. Okay. You have to choose. If you are going to build your own project, you have to choose which database I have to use, which protocol I need, everything you have to choose. Okay. Then you must aware of this kind of things. What is that actually? Headers send with every request. What is every headers? What is the purpose of sending the headers? What headers will contain? Unique keys. Okay. What headers will contain? You can just a search. What is the purpose of just to Google it? What is the purpose of the headers in the HTTP request? Then what is the purpose?
Passing additional information.
Passing additional information. Next,
Information about the request, not the actual data.
that is actually just info about the request. You can I tell like that just identify of request, like identification of the request. Is it fine? So no need to tell the depth answer. Just tell the tableau. It contains some additional info about the request. Maybe it could be the some authentication related things. It could be anything. Some additional data. Some things called as a metadata. Okay, it contains some meta information about that request. That's it. Nothing else. Okay. Then that is the every request you have to send that, because each request create the new connection. I don't know previous connection it came from this server, this client or not, I am not aware of it. So each request must be contain the headers. Okay. Next come to the website. What is that? Answer equals then minimal overhead. What is that actually?
Establishing connection once and reducing the number of people.
So how the WebSocket connection going to be? Like it's just create the connection only once. Once it's connected, okay, I think I can show that one. Okay, actually it start from like this. They every time we are mentioning as HTTP request, right? For this one HTTP won't be there. It should be start with WS. WS is nothing but website. It's just a protocol. Okay. Next we have to specify our domain, then our API path. Okay. So everything is look like a REST API only, but the protocol will change HTTP to WS. Okay. If you are adding any website, I think in the application, I guess it's available. So, but this time, okay, so there is one more question will be there. Actually, here, so we are going to use the WebSocket, right? So, it should differ from the HTTP request. But here also, if we are specifying the get mapping for the WebSocket, then it should consider as the HTTP request. Then, how can I create the WebSocket request? Okay, so that is the only thing you guys go through it. So, after that, instead of giving the HTTP here, right, you just change as a WS. What it will do, it can able to, it's just a test client. You can go to your extension and take it from the browser. Okay, just you search as a website like a website client test, like that. You use, if you search, it will one extension will come. In that extension you have to change, maybe it should be the local host which port, local host maybe 8080, then slash. So what are the API naming we are mentioning here? Like as of now we are mentioning as a demo website, right? So those things we can specify here. Maybe it should start from the students, I guess. Maybe once if I run to my application, so what it will do once my application run, that API is available for the website, not a REST API. Okay. Then what you can do, you just try to open. So that means it's try to establish the only one-time connection. Then what it's going to do, if anything you are sending here, you can able to see in the message lab. Okay. That side also, if the from server side, if they are sending anything, you can able to view here. From here to there also, you can send something. Okay. Just a test client, you can try it out. Okay. Okay, this is the main thing. After that, as a real time. What is mean by real time exactly? What is mean by real time?
In real life we use
Tell any example.
we are using
Any example for real? Real time is nothing but like now user have one dashboard. Okay. In the dashboard you are mentioning how many things they have purchased. Unless you take any inventory system, there we want to show the some counts, right? Like these things available, this much quantity I have to show. Once like as a real time is nothing but you can take the example for the e-commerce website also. In that website they are selling something, they have minimum quantity only, they have 10 iPhones, that means 10 users only can buy. If one user buy that one, have to reduce the count. That should be real time, that should reflect on the all other users as well. So that could be the, that should be real time. It won't be like a polling system, how the polling system going to be work, like I just put this on the queue. That means I created one row. I just put the all the like now you have to show the quantity as a 9. Now you have to quantity as a 8. Once users purchased, I have to put some particular place. From that I have to pull every 15 seconds, 20 seconds. That is a different use cases will be there. Okay, I have to pull from those queue. I have to do the other process. That is the one way. The next way I can directly send to my server. Whoever, if not asking also, I can directly send to all other clients. I can do the auto refresh. Beginning if I am doing the refresh, the quantity now will be reduced. How the train ticket booking system they are working. So everything should be the real time, right? So for real time communication, you can use this. Okay, actually, if you want to push something, you want to receive that, you can use the website. That is a major purpose. Okay. Then REST APIs use cases. Maybe it's that's why I mentioned like it's mainly used for the chat and live updates, and mainly used for the notification. Major things could be the chat and notification. These are the major purpose we are using. Live updates is nothing but if another user sending something, I have to show here. Like it won't be any delay. Like that kind of pooling system you don't need. You can use the website again. Okay. So how the website handshake is nothing but just verifying that request. Nothing else. Handshake is nothing but I just establish the connection, right? I just verify it's connected or not to my server to client. These are the two guys going to communicate each other, right? So from here to that, the connection got established or not. That's the handshake. Apart from that, nothing else. Okay. So this is the things. Okay. So then we have some other protocols also. So here's the one protocol that's I think we won't use much, but you can just aware of it. What is that actually? So STOMP protocol. So it's nothing but simple text oriented message protocol. So these things mainly where we can use it. If you are building any message or chat system, you can use this protocol. Okay. So how it is different from the other protocols, we'll see one by one. Okay. So these are the dependencies, how you want to do that. Then this is for the WebSocket configuration. 1 minute. I think here only I have to set some prefix message protocol. Yeah, here on. Fine. This is the thing section. So if you want to communicate the WebSocket, so this is the protocol actually. So some TOP we mentioned right earlier. So here, how you are going to configure? First thing is you have to add the XML. Okay. What are the dependencies you need? I need a WebSocket dependencies, right? Next, what I need a protocol for that one WebSocket. So I am going to use the STOMP protocol. So just a message transfer protocol. Apart from that, nothing else. Okay. It's specifically created for the WebSocket. Okay. Next, how you are going to configure the WebSocket? I have to specify because earlier I mentioned, I told you guys go through it, right? How it's going to verify this request for the WebSocket request or HTTP request. Here are the things you can just this is the configuration is nothing but is before loading the application you have to load these classes first. That is the purpose of the this annotation, configuration annotation. This is the basic config. Okay, apart from the nothing else. These things is nothing else like this is a WebSocket message broker. Okay. So you are going to build one WebSocket. First, you need a broker. Broker is nothing but it's called as a PubSub. I am sending something. It's called as a publish. I am getting that one. It's called as a subscribe. Okay, that is called as a PubSub. Okay, so just to keep in your mind how the PubSub was working. So those things we can use some RabbitMQ. Redis also you can use, but popular is RabbitMQ. That is one of the tool. If you want to do the PubSub. So like how it is going to helpful. If you are building the microservices, all services running alone. There is a two ways. You can, if you want to communicate with the other services, you have to call the APIs. Okay, that is the one thing. Next thing is going to be this pooling system. Like this website also will be really helpful. Like that's PubSub kind of things I mentioned, right? That's really helpful. Why that is helpful? No need to call the API and no need to wait for that response that service return. What I can do, I just establish the one common connection to all the services and just publish one things. So here, how the subscribe is going to work? So I will mention all the places, all other microservices. If any key coming like this, like this is going to be the notification. So anything's coming with the notification key, that broker subscribe that one. That means that broker receive that, then process the request. If I mention the other keys for that communication, like it could be the payment success, payment fail. These kind of event, if they are sending, this is called as a event. Okay, what they are sending, it's called as a event. Publishing, it's called as a event. I can able to subscribe. While I am subscribing, I want to specify is this guy sending for this channel. Okay, here two things I mentioned. One is the event, another one is the channel. Channel is nothing but it's coming for the payment success, payment fail, or this is for the notification, or this is for the communication. So everything is up to our end. Okay, how we are going to define the channels. Okay, it's nothing but just a basic use cases like how the prefix like that API path here we are setting. So initially I mentioned right how it's going to differ that WS protocol we are mentioning here instead of the HTTPS. So here is the configuration actually. Okay, then WebSocket endpoint always handshake will happen and start from the WS. Then these are the once its handshake was successful. If you are sending anything in this, you just assume this is the one channel. Okay. If I want to publish anything in this channel, I can do that. Okay. Simple. Apart from the nothing else, don't make any confusion. Keep it simple. Okay. So these are the some other. Okay. Chat controller. So here we created a separate controller, not in the students controller itself. Here this is the controller for the our WebSocket APIs. Okay, so message mapping, so send to. So by default, what this message mapping and the send to will do, like initially we defined here, initially we configured here, right? Like register SMTP endpoint. So what it will do, we have some basic things for the WebSocket config. It will override the this register SMTP endpoint. As of now I am starting with the WS. Okay, this should be changed. So if you are changed that one, if you are creating the specific controller for that, for a specifically for the WebSocket, you can define like this message mapping. It should be that these are the channels, chats are send, then topic slash public, whoever send to. This is the message mapping I have to do. This is the send to where I am sending like so anyone know the what is the difference between the podcast and broadcast? Podcast versus broadcast. What is the difference? All of you guys have heard about those two words, right? Both are not same. Both are different. But once you got the time, check it out. Maybe like if you don't have any, if you don't get any exact things, you just let me know. I will explain that. What is the major difference between the podcast and broadcast? Okay. So this is the things how the flow going to be work. Now you guys have the idea, right? What's the purpose of the website? When do you want to use it? Okay. So like there is some other brokers also there. If you want to specifically, if you are choosing for the notification, there is Firebase also doing this notification kind of things. If you are, they also have the pops up. If you are push any notification from the backend side, client can able to receive. Like what it's like in the WhatsApp, we are receiving the message notification in the mobile, right? Web app also you can push the notification in the things. Okay. So those kind of purpose you can use this website. Okay. Apart from that, nothing else. So okay. So I mentioned initially RabbitQ, right? So this is the broker. Like I need a broker. Like how it is going to be. I need a database. I want to manipulate my data. I have to store my data. From that I have to edit. From that I have to delete. Right? This is the guy. Here for this messaging system, I need a broker. Broker is nothing but that is the main guy going to handle all the things. If I'm sending anything, it's going to this guy. Then it's sent to the other guys. Okay. So it's RabbitMQ is one of the tool you can use it. Okay, this is the compose file that, for that one. Okay, what I will do once I complete this session, I will do the one zip for this entire project. I will share with you. You guys just try it out. Okay, it won't be the big deal because we already mastered in the REST API, so it's not a big deal. Okay, if you want to check, you just check the API how these things going to work. Okay, simple. Then this is for the subscribe. Okay, so here I mentioned as a subscribe, right? Okay, so here RabbitMQ is nothing but we can use the Redis also. I hope you guys are aware of the Redis, but RabbitMQ is more convenient. Is specifically designed for this communication as a PubSub communication. PubSub is nothing but I am publishing something from other microservices can listening every time. Every time it will listen that one like how it is going to be. It create a one connection. From that connection, all the guys have connected. If I'm sending one thing via that channel, all the guys will checking. It's for me, it's for me, it's for me. If while they are subscribing, if this channel not belongs to me, I won't do anything for that data. So rest of the guys will do the same thing. If that channel is belongs to me, I will subscribe that data, I will process that data. That is the difference. Okay. So for that you have to use the RabbitMQ for the tool. So these are the base things. So CSRF. I think here just created some dummy HTML file. So those are the main things for the WebSocket communication. Do you guys have any doubts in that communication? What is that WebSocket? What is the purpose? Where I want to use that? If you know these three things, that is more than enough. Okay. Any doubts in that? Clear? Okay. Next, we will go into the reactive programming. What is meant by reactive programming? Just read that from the try to understand something. What is it actually?
handle many requests at a time.
Okay. Reactive also I am using only one thread, right?
But
Hmm.
what's the condition?
No. So one thread handling multiple things you are mentioning, right? So how it is different from the reactive program? So these are the traditional way. Until now, our APIs, our services, what we will do. So if you have to check, first it will check your request. Then it will check this value is available or not. Then multiple condition will be there, right? So you have to go with a step by step. So sometimes there is no dependency will be there. So I have to put this entry to this database. Another entry also I can parallelly do that. There is no need to wait for to complete the first database entry. So that is called as asynchronous things. Okay. How the time saving we can do that? How that things was working in beginners. That is actually called as a reactive programming. It's nothing but is called as a synchronous and asynchronous. What is meant by asynchronous? You just think about our entire Spring Boot project, what we build is all the APIs are the synchronous state. That means once one API was bending, okay, it's not return any response, you are hitting other multiple requests, it's just going to the bending state. It won't give the response to you. But if you are using the reactive programming, if you want to change all the API requests to the asynchronous, in the Python, actually the framework is called as a fast API. Those guys, what they are doing, they are supporting asynchronous. That means I received one API request, I have to do some process for related, like I have to do some query to my database. So what other APIs wait? It should wait until this API return the response, right? But asynchronous program, it won't be like that. Once I received that things, there is any dependencies belongs to another API? No, there is no dependencies. I can directly do the other API process. So that time it will create the new thread. Understood how I am telling? Here, if we are going to the using the synchronous and asynchronous program, so this is they are mentioning as a simple reactive program, but begin saying this is the things again. Some places you want to change synchronous function, synchronous method into asynchronous method. How we can do that? That is a big question actually. So I base like I experienced this issue while I'm changing my entire project to asynchronous. Few things I can't change as asynchronous, such be synchronized, because if you are checking any like what is this called like we used a volatile keyword and how we are going to handle the multi-thread environment, everything we go through it, right? Few places I have to stick with the synchronized. So whenever any API request coming, should complete. Other request was processing, I have to complete that request, right? Like while you are booking the bus tickets, or they will block that seats 10 minutes until the time close. That seat another guys can't be able to select. That got locked some particular time, right? That is called as synchronized way. But in that, I have to process the another customer request also. How can I process it? So that time if another guy's request came, I can process until the seat selection. If they want to select the seat, that particular seat, they have to wait. Other seat, if they want to select, they can select. But that same seat, if they want to select, they have to wait that 10 minutes. Because other guys doing the some process. That should be the synchronized. That was the synchronized. From here it was asynchronized. This is nothing but you can have to wait other guys to complete. Apart from that, nothing else. How I am processing my entire request. That's the thing. Okay. Any doubts in this reactive plan? So here how it is going to be. So our traditional, our API, how it is going to be. Each request is going to only one thread, right? So what it will do, it will wait for until the response. So if you want to do the another request, but here if you are using the same thread also, it will can be able to process the multiple requests. I can able to receive one request. In the meantime, I am processing this request A. So in the meantime, another customer also initiating another request. They are selecting some other seats. Why I have to wait for this guy to complete the request? Waste of time, not required, right? then I can process that request totally different. That is the actual things. It's called as a reactive programming. Just like the principles of how the things was working. So here we already knows how the stream was working, right? What is the purpose of the stream? Stream, please anyone remember that? Sorry? What is the purpose of stream? How the stream was working? Sorry? You know, what you are telling that is not. What is stream APIs in Java? What is the purpose? Nowadays, for the basic role, there is a more competition will be there. So what happening? It's AI was replacing until the mid-level guys. Okay, make sure what are the things what you majorly initially what you guys going to once you step in the any industry, what you guys going to do? You guys going to assign a few bugs. After that, maybe it start from the testing actually. You're going to write the test cases. Then you're going to fix the bugs. Okay. Then only you are going to work on the any new feature in that project. It should be work like that. If you are landing in any company, they are following this architect only. But nowadays, this testing and this bug fixing AI can do that. Okay. How we differ from that? If the simple interviewer asking this question, how you are going to reply that? When hire you, okay, what is your impact going to? What AI can't do, that thing we can do. What is that? Have to prepare that thing, okay? So recently Cloud also launched one more thing, it is called as Anthropic actually. So they called compiler they launched. After that there's some conversation was going on, it's not good, it's not a security based. So there's a plenty of things, but nowadays, so it's until replacing the mid-level engineers. Mid-levels, that means the experience, mid-level experience level of engineers, it got replaced. Not more than that. Why? Because those guys only architecting. Architecting is nothing but these guys are using the agent. They are giving the command to the agent. You should work like that. They won't be replaced. But base level beginners, initially you guys kickstarting your career, right? There is the actual issue happen. So that testing, bug fixing, everything AI can do that. Why should I? Simple. Do you have a question for? Do you have an answer for this? If we are, there is only one thing that is a big issue: hallucination. What is meaning hallucination? In A, any idea what is the meaning of the hallucination? Right. So I can tell that hallucination is nothing but like anyone remember that resume pilot. So in that resume pilot, you can change that. It's called as a parameter. Actually, you can change how much A can lie, how it's going to do the mistake. It will do some random things. Sometimes if you are asking the GPT, it will give some random things. Okay. So how the things, it will create its own narrative. It won't depend on what you are asking. That is simply is called as a hallucinate. Okay. So if the hallucinate until unless if it is solved, we can able to survey. Once that hallucination is definitely not going to be solved, there is it will take some years. Okay. But once it's got solved, there is a base level engineers will be gone. I'm sure. But how you guys going to survey it? That is a big question mark. And not going to make you afraid. Have to think such a way how I am going to better than that. Don't compete with that. I have to adapt with the AI. How I can use the AI, like don't try to compete with the technology. So I never going to try to make any competition with the technologies. You can't able to win that with the technologies. Okay. what you can do, you can adapt the technologies, how that things are working, how I can use that tool, how I can make me as a more efficient. If you are taking some time 1 week for to complete the job, if you are designed one particular agent for you, okay, that agent will do the work. You can just finally verify it, you can close it. One day you can do that. That is the adapt. How you are going to adapt the technologies. Don't try to compete with the AI. Try to adapt with that. Okay, that is the first thing. Next thing, for simple example, if you are giving the task to AI, what that will do? It will create a new function, new method. It will process the parameters, everything. It will give the response. Definitely, it's going to work. But there, what going to happen? It's create the boilerplate codes. Maybe I have one existing method. If I am adding only extra parameter, I can reuse that method. But if you are not mentioned in that prompting, right, it won't do that. Okay, so that's the things how you are adapting with that, how you are get the knowledge from that also. So nowadays in the interviews, recent requirements what I interviewed, those guys are asking how you are good with the AI agents. You are the good developer, I don't have any issues. But did you use any AI tools to make sure you are working as a more robust manner? Robust is nothing but more efficient. How you are increasing your efficiency, how you are adapting. So developers is nothing but I learned something today, I forget something tomorrow. It won't be like that. You have to every day you have to update. Okay, even for me, if it is at 15 years, if it is 50 years experience also, if you want to move further, have to learn daily. Okay, just to keep in your mind, don't forget, do practice. If you are messed up with the practice, you can do nothing. Okay, so let's back to the things. Okay, so this is the actual life cycle, how the reactive programming was working. So like I mentioned as a PubSub, right? PubSub is nothing but publisher and subscriber. Once I establish the one connection, in that connection I can be able to publish. Okay, this is the one event I am publishing. I can able to subscribe that event as well. Okay, so these are the how the things was working. So it could be any time. So it won't be any error most of the time. So that is the major purpose. Okay, so here another thing is called as a project reactor. So from name itself, anyone have any idea? What is reactor? Yeah, it's visible, right? Yeah, actually, what is project reactor? So, what are things we are learning? This is not a come under the project level. This is how we are handling the entire project. At top level, this kind of it is like something is called as an engineering. So, on initially, if you guys are starting, you guys going to start as a developer. But this everything is called as the engineering things. How the system was working, entire thing is known as the engineering, right? So these everything other things we are going to go through like today and tomorrow. Not 2 sessions will be there. So everything is come under the engineering part. How these things was working. What is the purpose of that? Why I want to choose over another one. So that is the actual purpose. Okay. So reactor is nothing but like this is the like we have one library is called as WebFlux. In that like we discussed about the WebSockets and those kind of things, right? In that time, so we have one more library is called as the WebFlux. That WebFlux, what it will do, it will use the this reactor. What is the purpose of this reactor? It's do the streaming. Like there is a two kind of things. One is the zeros, another one is the end time. Okay, so keep in your mind as a mono and flux. Okay, mono is nothing but what is meant by mono? Is chemistry or physics? Chemistry. Sure. Mono, type, try. Next. Okay, so mono is nothing but it can process 0 element or any only one element, like a get element by id, get id by like this particular things. So those things is come under the mono. Okay, flex is nothing but it's more than that. If you want to get the list of guys from that, how it was streaming, like how you are streaming your data from that for that request. So that is the actual purpose of the reactor actually, how the things was beginning it was working. This is the diagram actually. So like it's doing some HTTP request, find the element by ID. Definitely it will return the only one response for that method, right? Maybe it could be zeroth also. Zero response or only one data. So it's you just think about the data wise. Okay, maybe I will get one student data, or else it's going to be nothing, because if I am not available in my database, it will return zero, right? That is return the empty data. Then that means the length of data. Okay. Next one is a find all. Find all, what it will going to return? It will return what are the things matching. It will going to list of all the data. So, okay, it's more than one. Okay. So that's the purpose of the Flux. So how you want to use the mono, Flux, everything was there. But just understanding this one only. Rest of things is not required. Like how the mono was working. So mono creation, you just get some idea. So what is mono going to be? I think that they are importing. So it's come under the WebFlux. Yeah. Here you can specify that. You can import from the Reactor. It's one of the libraries available already. You can import those library. You can define this one. Okay, so it's going to be just for mono, and it's going to be the Flux. So this is the only one thing for the mono, and these things for the Flux. Okay, here I am going to return the actually single value or empty value, but here it's going to be the I am going to, because here I have the multiple values, so here I can streaming is nothing but if you are using the AI with your application, use anything as well. You don't use the REST API. If you are using the REST API also, you have to stream the response. So those kind of places you can use these things. Okay, if you are going to chat GPT, if they are asking something, the data is coming one by one, right? Actually from server side also, it will return the those characters one by one only. You don't return the fully, they are not doing anything in the front end. They are just subscribe that streaming and show live. That is the things happening. So if you want to verify that, can you see here something is continuously going on, right? So that is called as a streaming. I think this area, you just focus on this area. Can you see here it's continuously going? This is called as a streaming. Okay. How the, if you are requesting anything to the server, it will give the response also streaming. It will also giving the one by one characters only. Maybe it will give the word. It could be like that. It was streaming actually, streaming one by one only. Okay. So these are the just operators we already know how we are going to use that one. Then this is a subscribe the stream. Okay, you have to just aware of it how you are going to subscribe your streaming data. Okay, this is the one thing. This is not a main record. This is just a error handling. If it is any error happen while you are handling that mono and Flux, mono won't be the stream. Flux only will use the stream. Why? Because there is a more data, so we can use the stream. So back pressure. So this is not a big deal. This is much. Okay. So here is the things. This is the important part we have to understand. Spring WebFlux. So what is the difference between the MVC and the WebFlux? Here initially I mentioned, like each request is going to be the new thread. So it has to wait until one thread was completion, right? Maybe thread could be multi-threaded environment. If your system has multi-threaded environment, it will can able to process the multiple requests. That is not an issue. But if it's just a single thread environment, it will block that, based on your your machine has only 8 threads. Okay, that means it can at a time it can only process the 8 requests. If you more than that, it can't process it. Okay, but if you are using this reactive programming using WebFlux, okay, we already mastered in that MEC, right? So now just come back to the WebFlow. How the WebFlow was doing? They are doing the streaming model. If I am receiving one request, I want to process that request. I have to check some methods, right? In the meantime, those checking is not a blocking to the other things. That is not a dependency. That also one of the way I have to do. Let's take example. I created the one student. Okay. In the student, I have to put the entry for the experience, education, certification, any achievements. These are the 4 tables I have the relation with the student. Okay. Now I have to put the entry to these 4 tables. Maybe I will create the different methods for education, experience. Maybe it has any certification, any achievements. These are the major things I have, right? So there is any, you may need to wait until complete this one, then I have. So it's a traditional way, it would be like that. I have to put the entry for the education, then it's going to be the experience, certification, achievements. But if you are using the streaming way, like if you are using an asynchronous way, I can able to trigger these 4 things at a time. It will process begin this in parallel. Okay. So that is the actual things, how the WebFlow was working, how the response entity, how the MEC was working. Okay. So these are the setup. So how you can make R2 base. Okay, this is not a reactive. So until now, earlier thing we discussed about the REST API, that mapping we are doing, right? Those things, everything is come under the Spring MEC. Okay. Now, if you want to make sure your application going to handle reactive things also, that means reactive is nothing but it's going to handle the streaming data. Front end, you are building any chatbot system. If the client was asking something, if you send here, it will return to the things I have anyone look in your any search or anything. If they are giving the data not in the single shot, they will give the data one by one. There is no need to give all the data in the all time, right? So that's the place we are using the offset and limit. That's called as a pagination, right? It's kind of things, but it's not fully related with that. That things will got the data at a single time. Maybe I have only 10 data, I can able to get the 10 data at a time. But this streaming, how it is going to helpful in the chat system? You are requesting anything, like a friend client said, how are you? If they are asking, I'm going to listen. Okay, what can I do for you today? It won't be written. It won't be received as a only single response. It will receive. It going to streaming. It will return the hi, hello, how are you, what can I do for you. This everything will be streamed. So in your front end also you have to subscribe the streaming data, you have to show that properly such a way. How the GPT was showing, typing kind of things they are showing right one by one. That is a streaming actually. One that stream was done, have to show that data, that flow. That's it. Okay. For that also you can create that using the WebFlow, you can able to set up those kind of things. But you just guys, you just aware of these things. So don't mess with the Spring MEC. First, you just aware of it. If anyone asking how it is different from the Spring MEC, WebFlow, what's the purpose of that? What is the streaming? How the things are working? We just aware of it. Okay. No need to worry about this kind of things. Okay. So that is the things. This is not required. So until now we are discussing about how our application is going to behave, how it is going to real time, everything we discussed it. From here onwards, now your application was deployed. Okay, what is the next thing you have to do? Have to do the testing. My application is also working. Now the testing and everything is completed. What is the next thing you guys have to do?
Make available for the
So it's always should be available. The server won't crash. Okay. And also, if any request, any user initiating any request, that time if that one got failed, I should be captured those errors. So that is called as a monitoring. Okay. Here like a few tools will be there, Grafana and Prometheus. So those guys are called the monitoring tool. Grafana and Prometheus. Grafana is a different Prometheus is going to be collect the information. Via Grafana you can view in the data in the UI. How many API requests got failed. Each API taking how many milliseconds. It's taking as a 20 milliseconds, 50 milliseconds. From that you can identify the bottlenecks. Okay, this API only taking the 1 minute time. I have to reduce. Okay, what is the issue there? So this is the things is called as a monitoring. So here it's called as a actuator. Actually, this is called as actuator. Like how it is providing as a production ready future is nothing but how we are managing your entire project, how we are monitoring. Why? Because once you deployed your application to the production, you can't every time see in the logs. Okay, like that means if anything crashed, if another things also crash, what going to happen? It will be ignored. If you are going to go through all the logs only, you can able to find my application got crashed. Until unless you can't do that, right? So what you can do that using this actuator, you can able to set up some monitoring tools. What it will do whenever any application crashed, any issue, any exception happen, it will capture that one. It will give a detail about that issue. Okay. While I am calling this API, I am calling the find element by ID. While I am calling that API, it went to the service layer. After the service layer, until the line number 50, it was working. The next line execution got broke. So what are the issues? Everything it captured, it can show some particular place. From that only, the guy will assign the bug to you. You guys are going to work some bugs, right? The way how they are doing. This is the way. The first one is a manual testing. They can able to find the bugs. That is the one way. The another way, that is a front end bug. They can able to assume some logical mistake. If we solve that, they can work on the back end, right? This is the normal way. But back end, by default, if anything broken, client won't be aware of it. Okay, like that means I have to put the entry in the another database. Client won't aware of it. But what we have to do, we have to capture that error. We have to process that error. We have to resolve that error. Simple. That is the purpose of this one. What it will do actually, so each time is my service is alive or not, that is a health API always will be there. All the applications good practice you have to use the health API. So health API is nothing but some every 15 seconds it will check your application. My application is alive or dead. If anything crashed, there is a possibility your application going to down, right? So those kind of places you can use this health API. Okay. So here only I mentioned. Okay. So Prometheus and Grafana is called as the monitoring tools. Prometheus is nothing but is just be able to collect your data. Like for this request, how many milliseconds it takes. So here you can just check these kind of things. Okay. So how much response initiator timing? Can you see how much time it was this API waiting for server response? I wait for the 331 milliseconds. You can get everything. Okay, it went to queue, then it went 3.23 milliseconds. How much time it taking for all the things? For processing this one API, I finally take 345 milliseconds. These things you can see here, right? But every time you can open the network and you can see these things for all the APIs. That is not possible. So that time only we have to implement this kind of tools. That tools once you set up and configure properly, that tool will take care of the monitoring and everything. Okay. So Prometheus what it will do, it collect the data. Grafana is just ordering the data. It can show you to use how much request happening. If you want to show any diagram and those things, you can use the Grafana. You can do some UI. That's it. Like how the Postgres, how the pgadmin was working. Postgres is nothing but just a database, but pgadmin is just a visualizer. How you are visualizing your data. The same thing here also. So how the actuator setup is going to be? You have to add some dependencies and pom.xml. After that, Prometheus things also we are adding here. Then application properties we have to add something. Maybe if you are using some If you are using some YML file, you have to do such a way. But as of now, we are following application properties, so we have to keep like this. Okay, what are the APIs I have to include in the that monitoring tools? Okay. So I think apart from that, nothing else here. Indicator. So these are the major things for these topics actually. So how you are going to do your engineering for your project? That is, it's more or less it's focused on that one only. Indirectly and indirectly focus on that one only. So make sure how you are going to use this kind of feature into your application. Just aware of it. What is the purpose? How it is going to work? Everything you just aware of it. Don't need to work on all the things. Okay. Next we will start from the NoSQL database. As of now, I am going to use the MongoDB. Okay, so I will just explain what are those, what is the purpose. Then we can use today. Okay, we will start from what is meant by NoSQL. What is the SQL actually?
Storing the data in a table. SQL is a struct.
What is the purpose? How it is help to us? SQL.
Applying the code operation of the table.
It's just a one language we can communicate between the your application and your database, right? Apart from the nothing else. Okay. There is a few things like a structured way and a non-structured way. Okay, that is a major difference actually. So what they are mainly telling, NoSQL is just a category of the database management system. That means NoSQL also one of the database management system, but don't lay on the traditional relational model. What is that traditional relational model? What is traditional?
Only use mostly.
Okay, fine. Other things earlier last session what we discussed about that relational between the tables, right? Like how it is going to really helpful for us. You can able to do the normalization, you can create the multiple tables, you can get the data, process the data, everything you are doing, right? So that's a major purpose we are getting from the SQL databases. But what NoSQL databases, it won't follow. It won't follow that proper structure of data. You want to add like one data. Here they are calling, where we are telling us a one row, right? One data. Here we can tell us a one document. Table is called as a collection. Okay, so document databases, how it is going to be. Each record is mentioned as a document. How it is differ actually traditional SQL. If you are doing the normal SQL, you have to specify that relational join, those many queries you have to return. But here, the document database won't be like that. It could be the our you know the JSON data, right? It could be the JSON data. Some keys will be there, some keys won't be there. Okay, fine. How it is really going to helpful? Right. So let's take an example. I have the user table. Okay, in that user table, I have 5 columns. Okay, username, user password, address, phone number, some other things also there, some metadata also there. This is the relational database, right? But here, if you are going to the document-based database, what it is going to be? It has have those 5 columns. But if your data not available in the things, it won't create the document. Understood? But in relational database, what is going to be? It will keep the null values. But here, it not even create that key itself. So each record going to be the document wise. We can get the reference. What are the columns available? We can get the reference from the top level. But each thing is not going to be assigned there. But you can specify this column mandatory. You have to assign. Have to give the value that you can do. Like so here I am mentioning the name, age, and the course, right? So in the document database, like let's come to our real database, how it is going to be. If the course name not available, I am telling course name is optional. You don't need to specify. So what you will do, you don't, if you are not sending this course also, backend by default it assign the null value. The relational database, it should be rows and columns, right? It will be stored like that. But in document based database, what they will do, they don't not even store the key. If you are not sending, what they will only store name and age. That's it. So each thing going to be a separate document. It's not a row and a column based. It's just a document based. Understood what I'm telling? Any doubts? Clear? So each document, if another document is coming with like this, like the things is coming, like you can store dynamically. Each record, it can consider as a document. You can store the dynamic things. So that's what actually they also mentioned here. Yeah. So it's more on the performance based optimization. There is no need to keep the null values columns also. It's not even keep it those columns.
Sir, does it create for the key value pages like rows and columns? You are telling that every data is a document.
Mm.
But what it is when we not declare the value of the key, why it should not be create that document?
Anything get in the comment?
Well, can you show me that?
This one only, right?
Yes.
Mm.
Here, the value would be none.
Okay.
Seriously, there, if we do not specify the value of the course Java, we do not specify the Java. You are telling that the every it should not be like rows and columns. When we does not assign the value for that, why it does not create the key for that?
Why I have to create the key? I don't have the value. Why I have to keep the key? What relational database will do? It always keep the column.
Yes.
But here I just have the one. Here also we have to create the table, right? So maybe the question may I will understand like that. Okay. So I will tell you just verify once what I am telling. In relational database I will create the rows and columns. Rows are moreover is nothing but my records, my data. Columns in what are the fields I am going to contain, right? If I am created that, if few columns I make it as an option. So if I am creating or not, that value will be contained as a null values, right? But here in document based database, you have to create the table. Here it's called as a collection. It differs based on the database. MongoDB will be differ, types and will be differ. There is a multiple thing. Plenty of things will be there. But keep in your mind, this is a document based database. What you have to do, you have to create the table, right? That time this table will be there. It's just a further reference only. If you are adding the data, it won't be fit for rows and columns. It will go into a separate document. I just have the reference with that table. So that means I don't need to give the key as well. Whenever if you are inserting the record, what it will check against that, if this key available is or not my collection. That means my table. Understood? Like I think my server, I don't think so. If my PC admin running, I can show something. Yeah, here can you check actually? Here I have the two data. This is my relational database. So SQL databases. Okay. So here I have these are the key, like these are the rows and these are the columns. Right. If I added the ones data, so how it is going to be? Here it's storing the null values or empty data. While I am fetching this query again, so let me rerun. I will get this record, right? But how that NoSQL database will work? It won't contain this value, this null value. So it won't return for this. While it was returning, it will return something is called as a JSON. So how it is going to return? I think, yeah. It's full of dynamic actually. So if I'm doing this, it will return the list of requests, right? So it's going to return the list of requests. So here I have the name and the age and of course I have. Maybe another request, I don't have that one. What is going to be happen in the response? So, fine. Here my course, if not available, it won't not even return that key. That's it. My document will be like this. Yeah. Understood now? So this is my SQL database, how it is work. It will return that rows and columns. Don't have the value also, it will return. But here I don't need to store the null values as well. It's not even store that key. So this is called as a document based. So it's each document will contain the JSON structure. So if it is the optional column, you can no need to store that key as well. Understood? If the relational database, how it is going to work? So what you have to store? You have to store that course, right? Course is specified as a null values, like that. So in the relational database, going to be the document will be like that. Course become null. So if I don't have the value, why I have to carry forward this one? I don't need this. Simple. It could be more dynamic. It will helpful for fast search and those kind of things. Any doubts? Clear? Okay, so how it is different from the SQL databases and NoSQL databases? More or less is nothing but JSON data. Okay, This is the flexible schema. So here these guys are called as each table is called as a schema. Okay, how the schema you are defining, you are specifying. But here also the another question maybe will arise. If it is not a null value column, if the value is not receiving, it will throw the error. This should be mandatory. You have to pass this key in the document. That is mandatory. Okay. So it's more or less is denormalization is specifically for the normalization. Okay. So what is the normalization or denormalization? If anyone mentioned your resume in the database or SQL, first question, what is normalization? What is the
Breaking down
purpose?
the tables into.
Sorry?
Breaking down the tables into.
Small
Breaking into
chunks.
smaller chunks. So bigger table into smaller chunks for the clear understanding and managing the data clean and clear. But NoSQL that is not required. So you can NoSQL has nothing but just a trash can. You can store anything if you want. Those kind of database also maybe you need, but not now. But nowadays you use a traditional database only. But NoSQL database also need a mandate. So some edge cases will be there, some not edge cases, some use cases will be there. You can use those places. Okay. So these are the how the models will be like tables and rows. The other things I explained until now. So here that's the things they are mentioning. Schema, like how it's fixed and predefined. Flexible, you can change. Schema is nothing but one of the document you are storing. That we can keep it in your mind as a schema. It could be dynamic. Anything you want to store, that is up to you. This is the vertical scaling. This is the horizontal scaling. What is the vertical and horizontal scaling? What is vertical and horizontal scaling? Increasing the resources called as which one? Horizontal or vertical?
Verticals. Verticals.
Adding more resources.
Yeah, verticals.
Then horizontal means tell any real world example.
For example, if we getting more requests onto one server, we will increasing the number of servers means that is horizontal scaling, and if we increasing the capacity of the server, that is vertical scaling.
Are you sure? Is it correct or not?
Vertical scaling means increasing resources only.
Okay. Horizontal?
Upgrading means adding more.
That is actually things. How we are adding, upgrading the existing system. Okay. Don't forget that. Keep it as a simple answer. Okay. So that is helpful. How it is going to be. The query language could be actually query will be bit different from the SQL databases. If you are doing the NoSQL database, this also database you have to retrieve the data, right? But here the query going to be bit different from the SQL queries what we are returning. Okay. So but here is so most of the time that NoSQL databases are used for the handling the big data related things. So what is the big data? What is big data?
Huge amount of data with unstructured.
Huge amount of data.
Unstructured.
Okay. For my system, how much things is going to be big data? For your system, what is big data? Is a terabyte or petabyte? You know means like what is terabyte and petabyte? Petabyte data is also Google processing every day. What is big data? If I have 1 GB memory card, I can only process the 1 GB data. If I want to process more than that 1 GB, for that memory card, that is a big data. 1.1 GB is a big data for that memory card. even called as a 100 kb. It's not even going to be the terabyte and petabyte. It's depend on the which one you are using. If you are using just a 1 kb memory card, if you are adding more than the 1 kilobyte for that memory card, that is a big data for that one. Okay, keep in your mind. It's specified based on the resource, not only based on the data. It's going to be like a fit for that table or not. That is actual thing. Like for my system, I can process the 250 GB SSD. I have 256 GB. Okay, that means if we more than 256 GB, my system will stuck. Before that only it will stuck. But actual big data process, it will stuck that time. That is the big data. So for my system, what is the big data size? More than 256 GB. Big data is nothing mean like it has the 1000 GB, 1 terabyte. Don't tell like that. It depends on the system you are using. Okay, fine. So these are the structure. Okay, these things I already explained. You just go through it like that. Now you see how the things are showing. I showed the live demo, right? So how the things use a table analyze and using, right? It can be like this. But here it could be more dynamic data. So here we have a multiple relational, right? Here the relation won't be there. Everything will be keeping in the same table itself. Relation won't be there. There's a denormalization. Has a benefit also, so has some disadvantages also. But if you have to choose which one you need, based on the use case only, you have to choose the database. Okay. So it will be like this. So types of NoSQL databases. Here is the things: document databases, key value pair stores, column family stores, graph database. So actually we are starting from the document databases. Actually MongoDB, Couch, Raven. So these are going, document is more or less is nothing but JSON like. But here you can ask a few more questions. Key and value pairs also going to be like that, right? Then how it is different from the document database? We know the Redis, right? Redis only keep the key and value pairs. Okay, if you guys don't experience in that, what Redis will do, if you are adding any data, you have to add the key. For the key, you can add the values for that. It's storing key and value pairs. But how it is different from the document databases? Document database is nothing but you can store the entire document. You can store the multiple documents. So for those documents, you don't need a key. You need a schema. That means a table. From the table, you are going to add your documents related to that schema, right? But if you are come to the another level, I am only focusing on the name. If I am storing the name for my captcha, I think it will be confusing like this. Okay, fine. So this is my document database. I have the each JSON column is a one document, right? That means this entire thing is called as a one schema. This is the traditional SQL. That we can call as a table. Here we can call it as a schema. Okay. In schema, I can define what are the columns going to be. So first schema going to be contain the name, age, and post. Right. So inside this document, I have the few values. Now you only want to store these values directly. Name should be phonics. Name should be some other things. You want to store, you can go to that Redis database, that means a key value pair. But here, this is a full of document based. That means like I want to store this entire document, not only this value. Understood? Fine. Maybe if you want to store this entire value as entire JSON as one of the value, you can do that. Maybe assign, you can assign, keep the name as a key, keep the value as a thing. Or else you can keep the ID. So Redis, most of the place Redis will be used for the catching system. Okay, how is the data going to be catched? Okay, this is the major difference between the document database and key value pair. Then column based is totally different. That will be bit confused. So I can explain the graph database. Anyone knows what is graph database? So graph database. Anyone have any idea? No idea. Graph database is nothing but how anyone go through how the neural networks, how your brain nerves will be connected. Like that, it have the connection. I will show. I think here the connection was there. I think system is it visible actually? No, right? Okay. Okay. So how the database is going to be? So these data have the some nodes. Each data is called as a nodes. From these nodes, I think some graph little bit is visible. Like it will have the some connection between these each nodes. Here to there, that to here to there, that to here, like that. So this database graph database, this is called as a graph database. I think anyone can see my system. I think that the graph will be available. There it's not visible actually. Here is visible, right? So it will be like that. Each data is considered as one of the nodes. Okay. From that node, it will connect to the other data. Okay. So don't make any confusion. Just aware of it. How the graph will be going to be. It's mainly used for if you want to process any AI related data, you want to process any embedding data. So that time you can go with the graph database. Like if you want to do any ranking system, those kind of things you can use this graph database. That is use case is different. Based on the use case you can use it if you need. Okay. Okay. So as of now, my focus is mainly going to be the document database. Don't overwhelm. I don't want to overwhelm all the things. So as of now, we are only going to see the two databases. Postgres we already done, right? Next one is the NoSQL database. It's going to be a MongoDB. How you are going to connect the MongoDB? Simple. That's it. MongoDB is nothing but this is a document-oriented NoSQL database. Nothing but your all the data is going to be like this. How your roles, what is your profile, what are the orders you completed so far, when it is created, is that things is active or not, like that. Okay. This is a sample data. Maybe another guy don't have this one, if that guy going to the empty value, or if that is don't have this to record, orders won't be there for that guy. Okay, so these are the features. Flexible schema is nothing but each tagman have the different fields because it's totally dynamic. Okay, then rich queries. Okay, rich queries is nothing but if you are doing any query by particular element, it's going to be called as simply as rich queries. Then indexing, aggregation, replication, sharding, and hashing. Okay, this is a bit important thing. Anyone know that ACID principles, ACID and transaction. That is very important in a database. Just focus on that. So, what is the purpose of that one? Anyone have any issues on the ACID properties? Is clear? So anyone tell just one liner for all the things. What is ASA? What is meant by A? Atomic. C. Consistency. I.
Integration.
Isolation. Isolation. D.
Durability.
What is I? Isolation or integration? Should be isolation. Okay. So we know what is meant by atomic, right? You don't have any issues on the atomic. So can anyone tell what is meant by atomic? Okay, what are things we know first? Consistency. C means consistency or what? Consistency. So what is meant by consistency? We knows that. Isolation also we knows that. Then what is that D? What is meant by durability?
Same long.
A long time. Okay. Any other things? Durable. Durable is not meaning to the duration. Okay, what you guys will do? So I will add so few questions in the middle, right? These are the questions will be asked in the interviews. What is the answer properly? You just tell. Maybe if in your school or college, maybe you written that answer. But that's why that thing says you have to understand the system. How the things are. This is that actually. If you are know the things understanding wise, you won't forget in your entire lifetime. Okay. So atomic is nothing but anyone remember that for atomic integer? Atomic integer. While I'm teaching synchronous and asynchronous based, that time I teach actually. I think that multi-threaded environment count increasing mismatch I explained, right? That time if you are anyone based on the count method, you can use atomic integer. So you just to go through it. What is the acid properties? What is atomic integer? What is the each things in the acid? What is the purpose? If I am following this, what are the benefits I am going to get? You just to get the clear idea about that one. Okay. Okay. So when do you want to use the MongoDB? So like that is the NoSQL database. Like your schemas, your data going to be more dynamic. You can use that. Then is the hierarchical data, high write throughput, horizontal scaling. What is this horizontal scaling? Adding the things. Okay, fine. Next is a rapid development and unstructured, semi-structured data. So it's based on your things, like based on your use cases, you have to choose the database. Like if you have the database have the multiple joins, like if you have the student database, the student table, in the student table have the 5 table relation. That time you can't go with the MongoDB, NoSQL database, you can't use that. Maybe if you have the things like if I have the application, I am showing the list of jobs. I can go with the MongoDB. I don't need the relational database. What is the purpose I am going to get from the relational database? Each jobs will be different. Like different keys, different values will be there. Some jobs they mention the CTC. Some jobs they won't mention the CTC. So I have to keep in the relational database. I can come to the NoSQL database. So it's a differs. Based on the use cases, you have to choose. Okay. So this is not required. So by default, actually in the document database also primary key will be there. So there is a two things. Those guys by default will generate. Or else in how relational database the primary key was there. Here also it will be like that. So here also you can able to assign the keys. If you want to add it from your end, you can do that. Or else by default it will take care of it. That is up to us. If you want to do that, we can do that. Okay. So how the MongoDB structure going to be? So you just go through this structure. Any doubts, ask me. I will explain. Just how the MongoDB deployment, how the MongoDB was giving the query responses. You just go through it. so let's back. So actually, so how the MongoDB so structure is going to be. So if you are writing anything in your schema, so that means that document you are going to insert in your schema. So if it is failed, so it can able to like it can able to retry those things also by default it was there. Okay, and how it is the things going to be start from the primary. So read or write, it will decide the primary things. So whenever if anything is coming here, directly start from the primary, then it's going to the secondary. Maybe secondary read will be there, write will be there. That is totally different. Okay. So this is called as a replica system. The replica system is nothing but I told initially, right? It can able to duplicate the same database another because it can able to serve the multiple requests. No need to write, one request will complete for one database. Okay. So this is the horizontal scaling. I think shared cluster. So what is the cluster is nothing but as have the multiple replicas. So that is simply you just assume have the one database like a one table. That table we duplicate another 5 times. Like now I can able to do the 5 queries at a time. So that is like a directly we can keep on our mind as a shared as a cluster. Okay. So it could be like this. It start from mangoes. Those could be I will explain like how the setup and everything going to be. So these are the things like how the queries is going to differ from the insert into. So we have to do the if we are doing the insert one data, I have to use insert one. If we are doing the multiple data, I have to use the insert many. So like a select start from this find simple method, then update is using update one or update many or delete one delete many. So these are the queries like how it is differ from the normal SQL. Okay. If you want to set up that, actually this is an insert. For example, okay, DB is a connection. First of all, I need an initial connection. I will show how we can get the DB connection. Okay. Then the user is nothing but it's a schema. I'm going to insert the user schema. I'm going to insert the user schema. Then this is the only one record I am going to insert now. Okay, this is the one document, user mail and the user roles, when it is going to create those everything. Okay, in most of the time it will return like this, that the primary key ID, that document ID, then it's acknowledged is created or failed like that. Insert many also like that. It's true or false. It's insert created, and what is the ID of that one. Okay. These are the queries, how it is going to be. db.find will get all the documents. If you want to search the filter, like a name should be contain the allies, like then what is the age should be greater than. These are the simples. There we are using greater than and lesser than in the traditional SQL, right? Here you can directly use like this. Okay, dollar symbol greater than or equal to, lesser than or lesser than equal to, or this value in this list. So that is a more advantage we are going to get from this. We can do the searches bit optimized compared to the relational database. Search will be too optimized. Okay. So these are the major things how the query differ. The offset limit where we are doing here it should be like this: offset and limit. Sort if you want to sort by like primary key or sort by age, you can do the reverse order, ascending order, descending order. If you want to do the descending order, you have to specify that minus front of it. If you want the ascending order, you can no need to specify that minus. That's it. So these are like maybe mention if any name start with ALI, I have to those documents as well like that. So these are the more operators will be there. Okay, these are the update, delete. So these are the aggregation query, but most of the time we won't use this kind of aggregation. Okay. So here the aggregation stages is just aware of it. Like if you want to do the var, here it's called as a match. Here we are doing the group array. Here is known as a group. Here is select. Here is a project. So it's a bit different, but if you are doing continuously any practice using any MongoDB, so you can do this actually. For MongoDB, you want to set up, you have to create a cluster actually. So that I will explain. Okay. So you have to add the dependencies first of all in your Java. Next, what is the things for the, this is the normal, this is for reactive MongoDB, like that reactive I mentioned as a asynchronous based, right? That time you can use this. Okay. These are the local host, port, and everything you can have to mention. This is the connection URL. Okay, simple. This is transaction also not required much. Yeah, here is the document model. So there we are using the tables, right? So here we are going to use some annotations called as a document. And if you are using this document, here I mentioned as a collection. So collection is nothing but table. So I will explain what is the difference between the collection and schema. So here initially while I am mentioning the schema, I told here tables is called as a schema, right? But what are the schemas? It's going to be like this only. Here I have the columns, right? Like ID, age, course, and name. These things is known as a schema. This table is known as a collection. Understood? So every time we are inserting any document, the schema will be different. But this collection was same. That means the table was static. If you want to change the table, that is up to us. We can change the table. But schema will be dynamic. That means that which value I have to store, it's the key value where I have to keep there. That's not. That's the thing. Okay. So schema is nothing but I can tell schema is a data. That also wrong. Schema is what are the things we have to collect in that collection. That is known as a schema. Okay. So what are the each document contain the values, right? Those things also we can consider as a schema, but not the document as a schema. Okay. Okay. These are the major things. Documents. This will be the positive. This also not required. So this is more or less same. Like if you are instead of using that traditional database, we are using some transaction and those kind of things. Everything is same, but here the method going to be different. Query type will be different. And what are the places we have to add the dependencies as a different. Then I have to add my database connection and those name and username, password, everything will be different. After that, query will be different. That's it. Now the another thing is going to be you want to move your application traditional to the NoSQL database. Now you will get the real benefit. Initially, while I am doing, I segregated the database related things as a repos, right? We are in the middle only. No problem. I will complete that one. So this is my source, my. So I only have to change here only. If I change my database, I have to change two places. One is my models. Okay, maybe that because it's going to be created on the collection or not a table from here onwards, right? So I have to specify few annotation. I have to update in the model. That means the tables. Next thing is a repos. If I received, if I added any my custom query here, I have to change that custom query now. So no need to change my service layer. That means my business logic never I won't touch. My controller AP layer I never won't touch. That is the real benefit of the project structure initially what we discussed, right? That is the actual benefit we are going to get from now. So while designing itself, we have to think. So from initial maybe you guys got confused. So why I am doing this much folder, I can keep everything in the same file. While accessing it will be too easy, right? But this is the real benefit. No need to touch other things. This is the isolation. That part is also totally isolated. This part is totally isolated. What are the DB related things is fully isolated, come under the repos. Okay, just okay. So schema design. Okay, let me do that actually. You can create a cluster in cloud actually. I think it's initially free only. You can use some amount, some GB collection. You can do that. Here you can create the cluster. There I mentioned, right, what is the cluster going to be. Here you can, in the server, you can create the cluster, you can connect your database. You can see the live data in here only. Like, let me try. If it is working, I can show some demos on that, how that thing is going to work. I think it takes so much time. So what you guys will do, you just try to create an account. In that you can able to create a free clusters. Okay, free clusters is nothing but you can create on free database. Like as of now we are using Docker Compose in the local we are creating, right. We can use the cloud database itself. Okay, I think it's some amount it was free. You can use that. It will give the username, password, and everything. It will ask to you. In your local project also you can specify that remote okay, it has to go to not in instead of the local host, like where I mentioned, here I am mentioning, right, so that the host was local host. Instead of that, once you create the cluster on the cloud, they will give the host. You can use that host, update your port and everything. It will be able to connect your local to server. Okay, you guys try it out. I will, in the meantime, I will share this entire documents. Like I will zip this entire project, but I not even implemented this all the things. I have to explain to you. You guys just take a quick overview and try to do some one or two queries. That is enough, more than that. Okay. Apart from that, nothing else. Like first you have to complete in the SQL databases. After that, you try to use the NoSQL database. Try to run few queries. It will be too easy. Okay. That's it for. Okay. I think it's start somewhere. Okay. But you guys try it out. Create a new sign up account. It will work. Okay. You can able to create the cluster. From the cluster, you can create the collection. From the collection, you can able to insert your document. There they will give the like here I am seeing this speech admin, right. There they are giving one dashboard. In that you can run the query. You can get the data. There they have the some sample data also they have. You can do you can able to insert. You can able to retrieve. You can want to update also. You can do that MongoDB cluster itself. Okay. Okay. These are the things for today. If anyone have the doubt, right, else we can close it. Any doubts from today's session? Maybe tomorrow, maybe one session will be there. So that session is mainly focused on MongoDB done. Maybe I will give a quick overview and walkthrough for entire things. Maybe that's it. Like a few more things is kind of monitoring how we are going to final step of all the application. If you are built, that is going to be the next session. After that, I think that's the things for entire Java and backend for related things. Okay. So a few things I just explained. I not even show in the code part. Why? Because it won't be, or it will be overwhelming. So that's why I did like this. Okay. It's a quick overview. I created a few dots. From that I explained. But you guys try it out. If you have any issues, let me know. I will figure it out and we will close it out. Not an issue. Okay. So if no one have any issues or any doubts, then we can close today. Any doubts? Okay, I will make this zip and I will share in the group. Okay. Actually, today no React class. If you want to do, you can do. Like until unless here from the task, no classes there, you can do.